Welcome to the Intercut Podcast, the weekly show going over the TV, movies, and entertainment that people can't cut away from. I am your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, his passion is making fun of stupid people while getting drunk. It's Arturo Zurita.
I'm excited to talk about one of our favorite actresses. Every time we go to film festivals, we're covering the brand new movie she's in. Now we're pitting all of them against each other, so it's hopefully going to be fun to see all of our favorite movies from one of our favorite actresses compete against each other. But we had to bring in a professional, someone who knows Aubrey, who understands her nuances very well. Amanda the Jedi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it was about time we brought Amanda on. Pretty much the third host here on Intercut, but the first time we're bringing her on for a bracket episode, and
Really?
I don't think we could have chosen a better subject for
we've
a
never
bracket
argued?
with Amanda.
Oh, wow.
I swear to
Dude.
God, there's someone you had done before, and I was like, actually not offended, but I was like, I should be there. I should be there for this. I can't remember who it was anymore. You didn't do Kristen Stewart, did you?
It was a whole Kristen Stewart just in Twilight.
but-
Just her reactions in Twilight. And I don't know why we didn't message you.
I can't imagine we wouldn't have invited you on for the Kristen
I would like
Stewart
to think
bracket.
so. I would like to think so.
Yeah. I was going to go with She Forbids You from Flirting with Ramona, even if you had a girlfriend in a year. But we will get to Scott Pilgrim and all of our favorite Aubrey Plaza movies in just a little bit. First, I think we got to talk a little bit about the bracket. I mean, it's the first time that we're doing a actor-themed bracket rather than taking on a company like A24, a director like Spielberg or Wes Anderson. We wanted to dive into one of our favorite performers, somebody who's really, feel like, blossomed in a way that we are really enjoying and surprised by continually, and become quite an interesting actor in ways that maybe weren't expected of her before. So let's start out and talk about what is a great Aubrey Plaza movie? What does that even really mean? Art, do you have a definition for what a great Aubrey Plaza movie is?
I like that it's not as definable as it would have been 5 years ago. Before we really saw her
Totally.
like branch out. I think to a lot of people she was a specific type of thing on camera and off camera. She would be in award shows and she'd have this very like just stoic, sarcastic demeanor to her. And I think she still carries that with her, but you've been able to see the nuances within it, which I think is what makes her such a good actress. She doesn't completely change that she's another person. It's like she's still finding a way to be her sarcastic self in different scenarios. To me, some quotables. A good stare, because she's always providing those. And then I would say an intriguing character that you think of and carry with you and almost even like quote, depending on the scenario. And I think she's got a bunch of those. So even with that, I don't think my favorite Aubrey Plaza movie hits any of those things to that degree. But that just shows how
Right.
vast she is as she's gone in her career.
How about you, Amanda? What defines a great Aubrey Plaza movie to you?
It's definitely a lot of that, but I think it's really interesting to see her go from being like a character actress, like somebody who really just pops up as like that strong side character and whatever she's in. And we're going to see a lot of those here today, but then just having these like really strong, driven lead performances. And that she always kind of brings that, even in the roles where she's kind of jumping around and doing a bunch of different things, there's still this like underlying attitude to her. So even in something like Black Bear, when she does like two different characters entirely, there's still something underlying there that you're like, that's Aubrey Plaza.
It's still
I can
Aubrey,
tell,
Yeah.
You know? It's still Aubrey. So
She does. She does have this ability, whether it's in more comedic material or even more dramatic material, to kind of navigate dark and potentially upsetting material in a way that is kind of still intriguing and often very funny and very, like unexpected. And there's kind of like this bravery to the way that I think she takes on a lot of roles. She does it with this confidence and this like volatility almost that makes her intimidating in sorts. I've also noticed like she seems very comfortable navigating sexual material,
Yes.
particularly in comedy, but she also does it in a way that it feels like she's retaining power. She'll do scenes in ridiculous comedies like Dirty Grandpa, or she'll do scenes in even stuff like Black Bear, where it doesn't really, where she feels like the person who's really
in charge,
moving the scene forward and potentially like causing the volatility in that moment, causing the unexpected turns. I just really enjoy seeing her perform because I feel like she consistently surprises me.
Agreed.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's kind of always what I feel like when even a movie that isn't great, she usually still stands out in everything she does.
Art, do you remember the first time you saw Aubrey Plaza in a movie, and then did you have any expectation for the path that her career might take?
Sheesh. Oof. I mean, I don't know what. It's so long ago. What predates what? Scott Pilgrim, Parks and Rec. I know it's not a movie.
All around the same 2009, 2010
Yeah,
range.
so it would have been around that time. It would have been one of those two, either seeing her on Parks and Rec or seeing her in specifically that scene as the barista. I love when she just does her like swearing that gets censored out. So from there I was like, oh yeah, she's just someone who really stands out, and then has been able to carry that with her, and I think it's always been like, as Amanda put it, that like cameo or supporting actor that just comes in and like almost carries the show to a degree, or is able to steal it from somebody. So I think those two. I don't know if there's something earlier.
Amanda, how about you?
Mine's definitely Scott Pilgrim. I'm pretty sure I did see Funny People before Scott Pilgrim came out, but I don't remember enough. But like, I distinctly remember the first time I saw Scott Pilgrim, and Julie just stands out so much as a character, even though she has like 6 lines the whole movie, but they're just all great. So
yeah,
just
each
tells
one
you.
hits.
Each one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's also interesting because she was such a particular asset in that early going. Like, Julie isn't that different from what she's asked to do on Parks and Rec, but I think what's been really rewarding in following her career is seeing the ways in which she's evolved from being that sort of like tough, snide, snarky character into somebody that can have depth and has all these different assets to her, and even can use that energy that she has in those comedies, but turn it into different types of roles, whether that's going crazy like she does in Beverly Loughlin, or being kind of, you know, mentally disturbed as we've seen her in stuff like Ingrid Goes West. She has shown a depth to her abilities that I really was not expecting, but I'm very intrigued by. And I think it's also interesting to note that the first movie from her production company, Evil Hag Productions, that she is starring in is Emily the Criminal, a movie that again kind of shows a different side to what she can do.
Yep. I'm also really excited to see what she's going to be doing. I think it's a great production name.
Yeah.
And I like her approach to a lot of the roles that she's taking, especially considering that she's like become the indie queen. We were just doing in our previous bracket talking about how like you can be a star and not be fully in the mainstream. You can be a staple in producing your own movies and being able to tell the stories that you want and finding a way to have a whole career path there. So yeah, it feels like we're looking back at her career and it hasn't even started, if that makes any sense. Like, it's like she has not hit her peak anywhere near it because she continues to surprise us with Emily the Criminal being the newest one. And it's like, it feels like we haven't seen her do anything like that before. So yeah, it's only the beginning.
And her next role is going to be in a Guy Ritchie movie, which might be one of her biggest roles yet. So
that's a good
we
comedy.
Could be seeing yet another evolution in her career.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good springboard for her.
I feel like no discussion of Aubrey Plaza is really complete without at least mentioning her time on Parks and Rec, the role that really brought her to prominence, I think, for most people, and one that she played for 7 seasons on NBC. Amanda, were you a fan? Did you watch her on Parks and Rec?
I did watch Parks and Rec. I still haven't actually finished it yet. Like, I fell firmly on the I prefer the Office side of things, but I do really enjoy Parks and Rec. I love April as a character. She has so many just great moments throughout it, and it really just kind of staple that kind of humor that she brings to things, the attitude and just the deadpan delivery that for so many other people they would just say, oh, that person's annoying, I don't like that person, but it just works so well for her. So I think that really set her up well going forward. But it's nice to see her kind of like breaking out past that. But yeah, what was your experience with Parks and Rec?
I was a pretty big fan of it. I mean, I watched it all the way through, and yeah, I mean, she was just always such a fun, like devilish element of chaos that they would bring into the show that was otherwise like really, sweet and kind-hearted, and then she would have these like very sharp zingers here and there. So yeah, I mean, she's just such a unique energy that I think right away you can tell that she was pretty special, at least comedically, from her time on that show, and it's been cool to see how that's evolved too.
You juxtapose her with Chris Pratt.
Right, yeah, the way that their careers have gone and how he's become less and less interesting and she's only become more interesting.
I just meant the role, but I do agree with you there. I mean, like, it's awesome being able to see her persona, and then like her scene partner for a majority of the show is the character that Chris Pratt has, and being able to see that in a lot of the movies, it's just how she's able to almost be that spark in the movie when it's going one way, to be that almost straight, but yet the comedic character in a duo.
I also feel like it's worth mentioning that she's an excellent talk show guest. I really like when she auditioned for Catwoman on Colbert and like crawled on his desk. But she's she just brings that like chaotic, devilish energy to her talk show appearances too, and doesn't have a problem like undermining the interviews in a way that I think is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. All right, so in a little bit, we'll get into all of our favorite Aubrey Plaza movies, but first, make sure you're subscribed to the Intercut podcast, either the video podcast on youtube.com/intercutpod or the audio version available on most podcatchers. Also, follow Intercut on social media. We are at IntercutPod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, even on Patreon, where you can support the show for as little as $1 a month. And be sure to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. When you do, it makes me happier than when Aubrey Plaza is unnecessarily mean to someone. It's just like it's hard to compare, but like I really do love those 5-star reviews.
I get it.
All right, let's get into the best Aubrey Plaza movie bracket. We have organized these brackets as we often do, from the oldest films first to the newest films last, which couples her career in really interesting ways. I think as we progress through this bracket, you can kind of see her progression in Hollywood to becoming going from that bit player, that scene stealer, to the supporting actress, to then the star of a lot of these movies and bigger movies. And we're starting out here with a couple of films in which she doesn't have very big roles, but she has very memorable ones. 2 films from the early 2010s, late 2000s, I don't know. Funny People in 2009, written and directed by Judd Apatow, and Scott Pilgrim versus the World in 2010, co-written and directed by Edgar Wright. Amanda, I think you've tipped your hat a little bit early here, but why are you going to vote for Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
It's like my favorite movie, so I kind of have to. I even tried to, I rewatched Funny People, and her role in that is great, but I still think that I prefer Julie as a character. I really just love what she brought to that role and how it just kind of meshed with the entirety of the movie and like different unique editing things. So as good as Funny People is, I've just got to give the nod, both as, just as a Canadian mainly, I have to give it to Scott Pilgrim. It has to. That's where my vote goes.
I agree.
How about you, Art?
Easily,
yeah,
Scott
you're
Pilgrim.
going with Scott Pilgrim?
For sure.
I really thought I was going to lose here. Oh, yes.
No, it's not even close. No.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I will give a vote to Funny People now that I know Scott Pilgrim has secured its entry into the next round. But like, it's because I do think she actually brings a really cool energy to that movie. You know, there's the interesting story that she wasn't a stand-up and basically faked it in order to get cast in this role. But I think right away you can tell that there's a spark there, that she plays so well off of Seth Rogen in that film. Like, it's one that made me firmly in her camp early on. So I don't know if it's necessarily quite as distinctive or as memorable as Scott Pilgrim, so that one will advance to the next round. And let's talk about a couple of her first starring roles in films, with Safety Not Guaranteed, directed by Colin Trevorrow, versus The To-Do List, written and directed by Maggie Carey. Art, between those two films, which one is the better Aubrey Plaza movie?
She did this one thing on the press run for The To-Do List where it was like an MTV award. I don't know if you guys remember this, where she went up and like she pulled a Kanye West and jacked the mic from somebody, and then just had like watched The To-Do List, and then she just stood there, waved, and then dipped. If you haven't seen that, try to find it. It's some award show. It's the funniest thing to come out of that movie, in my opinion. It's so awkward, and she just does it on live TV in front of a whole audience. I'm going Safety Not Guaranteed, though.
Cool. How about you, Amanda? Also Safety Not Guaranteed, or some love for The To-Do List?
I do remember enjoying The To-Do List. It's not it wasn't great, but I remember enjoying it. But yes, my vote goes for Safety Not Guaranteed. I think I actually like that movie a fair amount.
Yeah. I mean, I like The To-Do List, and I kind of wish we had more movies like The To-Do List nowadays. I feel like we're missing these kind of like slacker teen sex comedies that have a lot of really funny people. I was watching it in prep for this bracket, and like Donald Glover's in that movie. I'm forgetting Alia Shawkat's in that movie. Bill Hader's in that movie. Like it's the bench is deep in that film, and she's also very funny in it. I wish there were more films like The To-Do List, but I really like Safety Not Guaranteed. So I would also go with that in this first round matchup.
And it pains me to say that because I hate Colin Trevorrow.
It's one of his best.
The man's a menace.
It's the one good thing he's done.
The man's a menace. Book of Henry, the man's a menace.
It's the exception that proves the rule for Trevorrow, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's talk about Life After Beth versus Grumpy Cat's Worst Christmas Ever.
Yes.
We had to include at least one TV movie in here, especially one that stars the iconic Grumpy Cat. May he rest in peace. I believe he recently demised, unfortunately. Yeah. But Art, which one is the better Aubrey Plaza vehicle?
Life After Beth. I remember being really excited for this one, and then I was introduced to who Jeff Baina was, and it's someone who's going to get you really excited when you see a trailer, and then every single time you go in with hopes, and you go like, it's not terrible, but it's just like a lot of promise just for it to be okay. I was also on a Dane DeHaan high, because he had just finished Chronicle. You know, I was like, it had a pretty stacked cast in there as well, with John C. Reilly, Molly Shannon. And the concept of her being like this dead girlfriend coming back was fascinating. Could have been a little bit more, though, but I'd go with Life After Beth.
Amanda, how about you?
As inspired as her both playing herself and Grumpy Cat in one movie was, I also have to go with Life After Beth. I saw a Letterboxd comment that said that Aubrey Plaza as a zombie brought more life to the role than Dane DeHaan did the entire movie, or something to that effect.
That's a good one.
I do agree.
Solid.
I do agree, but I'll still pick Life After Beth.
He does look more dead than her.
He does.
Oh. Some good makeup on her, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both... I do think they're both kind of underwhelming comedies, but at least Life After Beth holds up a little bit better. Grumpy Cat's a little more like one note, one joke. And
it's a gimmick.
I think you can get that joke from the trailer, so not really a reason to revisit that one. We'll all go with Life After Beth in the first round. All right, it's a pair of films which she's shown up and been oversexed, but very funny. This is Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates versus Dirty Grandpa. Amanda, which of these comedies is the better Aubrey Plaza movie?
I rewatched them both today, and I feel very confident.
Dedication.
I know, Mike and Dave is better. Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, in my opinion, is way better. I think Dirty Grandpa just does this. It just goes too far, and not in funny ways. It's just in ways that make it worse. I think I prefer her character in Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. Actually, no, I don't even know if that's true necessarily. She's hilarious in Dirty Grandpa, but yeah, I'm gonna stick with Mike and Dave. I'm sticking with it.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Art?
Look, I haven't seen these in a minute, but the fact they both came out 2016, it's her being overly sexual in a movie with Zac Efron, trying to get places. It's like these two, this was during that era where it's like two of the same movie would come out, but I didn't expect it to be like two of the same movie she's in.
Yeah. She's never the one trying to get with Zac Efron, though.
Exactly.
She's always going the other way.
But she's trying to get with Robert De Niro. Like, it's so weird.
Yep. And then she settles for Adam Devine.
I remember Dirty Grandpa just a little bit more. Some scenes that I don't want to remember as much, but I'm going to edge it out to Dirty Grandpa, but I don't really care for either that much. So I'll leave it to you, Zach.
Yeah. This is tough because, like, you know, we're talking about best Aubrey Plaza movie, right? Not best movie. And I do think I enjoy Mike and Dave, We Need Wedding Dates a little bit more, but like her scenes are maybe a little more memorable in Dirty Grandpa. I don't know if that's necessarily a compliment.
Literally, she just shows up and says like, "Professor, we're gonna fuck," but it somehow just works because it's Aubrey Plaza.
Exactly. Like, it's the kind of, I think it's the kind of role that maybe no one else could make enjoyable.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
But it's also like, this was the peak of when like Parks was going, and they're like, so you guys want that thing she does, right? So we're gonna do 2 movies back to back doing that thing she does a lot. And I think she found a way to like settle it a little bit better. But I felt like this was definitely relying on her shtick, if you'd call it.
Yeah. So I guess maybe I'll edge it towards Dirty Grandpa, although I'm
fine with that.
I feel dirty for.
I'm fine with that. They're both
that.
pretty even-paced. Art, actually, I think you gave them the same rating on Letterboxd, so you were pretty split,
there you go.
Even on both of them.
2016 Art. I agree with him.
Inspired.
All right, let's go to The Little Hours versus Ingrid Goes West, 2017 movies, and the second one that she starred in, written and directed by her husband, Jeff Baena.
Also husband?
Amanda.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, he did Black Bear too.
I apologize, Mr. Plaza.
Yeah, we realized that at
sorry.
Black Bear.
I'm so sorry. He's great. He's a really good director. He's inspiring.
Yeah. It doesn't remind you of Ben Falcone at all. Amanda, what would you go with between The Little Hours and Ingrid Goes West?
It's got to be Ingrid Goes West. Like, I think that was a way to really pull her character, like the things she does, but then also take it in a direction that we've never really seen before. Like,
yes,
in a really good way. I think it's also just very relevant to internet culture. I think it's still one of the best examples of that kind of like stalker, like absorbing yourself into a creator's life that we've ever had. Like, I think a lot of things have tried to get there since then and haven't been able to. And we also get a lovely an Olsen in there. We get a lovely Elizabeth Olsen in there as well, and tons of great promotional material between the two of them. So I think the whole package is
great
there
gifs.
for Ingrid Goes West. Yeah.
How about you, Art? Where are you going between these two?
Ingrid, I think I saw both of these the same year at Sundance. Came out loving one. Came out of the other one from a midnight screening, going, that was the same running bit for a long time. I knew Alison Brie and Franco were together, but I didn't know that her and the director were together. And I mean, if you like Aubrey Plaza and Alison Brie, check out Little Hours, I guess. But other than the story, I'm going Ingrid Goes West. I think it's aged so well. You see scenes from that movie, and you're like, oh yeah, this is like, I don't even want to say ahead of its time. It's perfect for its time, and it just continues to be relevant. It's one of her best movies, and I see it going a lot farther in this bracket.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some laughs in The Little Hours, but it's not a movie that I'm like very eager to revisit. It's interesting you mentioned that thing with Alison Brie. She also loves to do these Jeff Baena movies, has been in a few.
Yes,
and
she
I also
does.
sometimes forget that she's married to Franco and not also married to Jeff Baena.
That's what's confusing me, dude.
All right. Our next matchup is An Evening with Beverly, Luff, Lynn versus Child's Play. Art, why don't you start us off? Which is the better Aubrey Plaza movie? You don't even want to entertain An Evening with Beverly, Luff, Lynn?
Child's Play. Look, for those of you who don't know, the guy who created Chucky, he now has to call his stuff Chucky, and this is the studio creating a new version of just, they kept the name Child's Play. They're doing their own thing. Look, I'm not even mad at it. The guy continues to make his own stuff. They brought in Aubrey Plaza, very interesting role. Mark Hamill voices Chucky. It was a very interesting role to see her in. I don't know about that other movie, Zach. Child's Play.
How about you, Amanda? Do you have a preference between these two?
I'm gonna have to go Child's Play as well, and I didn't even like Child's Play that much, but I think I'm still gonna go with it. It's been a while since I visited Beverly, but I wasn't looking forward to
You're
my
good.
next visit. I'm good.
If The Greasy Strangler is the director's better movie, there's a problem.
You say that, but I tricked out An Evening with Beverly Luff Flynn for the first time this morning. I kind of liked it.
Don't do me
I
like
gotta
that,
be
bro. Don't
honest.
try
I'm
to
gonna check it
make
out
me
again.
watch it again.
I'll check it out again just for you.
I-
It's been ages.
It is so bizarre, and the performances are pitched to this really strange degree, but I think it kind of gets to the level of like surreal, like are you being serious or are you not, that Aubrey Plaza can do very convincingly. And
True.
it's again another movie that has a lot of very funny people in it. Craig Robinson, Jermaine Clement, somebody who I wasn't familiar with at the time but am now thanks to What We Do in the Shadows. Matt Berry is a big role in this movie too. It's very weird and very stupid, like very base humor, but just the performances kind of sold it for me here. I understand going with Child's Play, but I'll put one vote in for An Evening with Beverly Luff Flynn.
All right.
I'll revisit it just for you. Just for you.
Thank you. I'm sorry in advance, but thank you. All right, our next matchup, and I am sorry about this, but our next matchup is Black Bear versus Happiest Season.
Homophobic.
He's not sorry. That's how he giggled when he put it together.
Amanda, tell me how that makes you feel.
Really bad. Because, like, Happiest Season's what our people have been waiting for. And she is so good in that movie that
Right.
it started an online trend that people were rooting for her as a side love interest over the main love interest, that the whole thing is them supposed to be coming back together. People were like, fuck the resolution.
Adam Twisted,
Go
yeah.
be with Riley. Go
Yup.
be with Riley. And that's insane to be so charismatic that, like, you steal the show from everything and people just chip you harder. Like, that's impressive. The movie's trying to emotionally manipulate you into wanting her to be with Mackenzie Davis, and I love Mackenzie Davis too, but she ain't no Riley. But that being said, I think Black Bear is a better display of her range as a character. I do think she has a well-rounded character in Happiest Season, and she brings some really interesting nuance to her minimal role, but she is like the driving force behind Black Bear, which is one of the more unique movies I've seen. She plays two completely different characters, and I like when she said something to the effect of like, my life changed making this movie for the worst. Like, I've never been the same after filming this. I believe it. The level of like emotion she had to bring to a certain like aspect of it. The fact that they had to film that scene like 2 days, or that whole shoot had to be moved up like 2 days because of rain. So she wasn't even expecting to be in that headspace and still just had to pull this out. I'm gonna have to give it to Black Bear just for the full shebang, but Happiest Season they were both two of my favorite movies that year, so it's a place in my heart.
Yeah, I wish Happiest Season.
I know that was a hard decision to make.
Homophobic.
I wish it went up against
Homophobic.
Spin Me Round, because I feel that what she
Right.
does in Happiest Season is what they thought she was doing in Spin Me Round. This character who like comes in
Yep.
and like is going to steal the show from the side, and they forgot that part where you're still supposed to kind of write a little bit of the character in Spin Me Round. Happiest Season is really good. Every reason that Amanda said. But what she did in Black Bear surprises me to this day. That's like you see it and you're like, I never thought you had that in you. And it's just like, it literally changed everything. When you saw her in Safety Not Guaranteed, it's like, all right, she could carry a movie. Ingrid Goes West, oh, she could be dramatic. What she does in Black Bear is something I would recommend everybody to go watch, and makes you like consider her as like possibly one of the great actresses of this day if she continues to get really well written scripts like that. That's how serious
like
that
it's
movie
everything. Yeah, and I think that's also her husband, right? Yes, it is. It's that directed that. Didn't Jeff ban it?
No, that was Lawrence Michael Levine. That was
My
Sophia
bad.
Takala's husband.
I don't know why
Yes.
I thought that.
Because he's talked about that stuff too, about how it's been done to her.
Right.
There's too much in the movie. We can't get into
Yeah.
spoilers. All we can say is, trust us, go watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that Black Bear, it kind of like takes everything that you know she can do as a character or as an actress, but then just it's on high octane. It is so far, and not in a too much way, but just in a way that you're like, oh shit, she knows exactly what the fuck she's doing.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, to me it was the movie that changed her from like somebody who's very funny and can act to somebody who's an actor but also very funny.
Great point.
That saying all that, a little
Happiest
love
season?
to Happiest
Stop.
Season. This is the best Aubrey Plaza movie bracket, and she does like kind of own that movie
She
in
does.
a way. I think I control Amanda really hard and vote for Happiest Season right now, but I won't. I love Black Bear.
Thank
and,
you.
Black
Because I was
Bear's
gonna feel like
gonna go
that
to
would
the next-
that would be making me homophobic, Zach. That would be making me homophobic. You can't do that to
Spin
me.
it back on you.
Because I was trying to be
That was
objective
the first thing.
with
Amanda
this
takes
bitch.
one gander at the bracket and goes, Zach, this is homophobic, right? You can't be doing stuff like this.
Yeah, it's not. The people won't
It's the
stand for
toughest
it.
one. Yeah, it's crazy.
A tough choice, but we go with Black Bear, and our last first round matchup is her two new releases, two August 2022 releases. They are Emily the Criminal and Spin Me Round. Art. We already talked a little bit about Spin Me Round being a disappointment. Do you want to say anything else before we vote for Emily the Criminal?
It's Emily the Criminal. All I ask for Spin Me Round is, once again, we implore you, release the scooter cut. That's it. That's all people are asking for.
Release the Vespa cut.
That's it.
I think we should call it the Vespa cut.
Vespa
It flows nicely. Yeah. Definitely, Jeff Baina, please release the Vespa cut. That's all we ask, especially if you're going to put it in your South by Southwest promotional material. But Emily the Criminal, really good movie. So I think we can confidently put that into the next round and talk about the best 8 Aubrey Plaza movies, starting with Scott Pilgrim versus the World versus Safety Not Guaranteed. A supporting role, but an extremely memorable one versus one of her first starring roles. But talking about what the best Aubrey Plaza movie is, Amanda, which way are you going to go?
Why you gotta do this to me, man? Why you gotta do this to me, man? Okay, I still gotta go Scott Pilgrim. I'm sorry. And I really like Safety Not Guaranteed, and it is more her movie. I just do still think she somehow stands out more as Julie in Scott Pilgrim, and I think Scott Pilgrim is a better movie.
I think if you are compiling like a reel of Aubrey Plaza's career, you're pulling a Scott Pilgrim clip before you pull a Safety Not Guaranteed clip.
I agree. Thank you.
That being said, she is the star of Safety Not Guaranteed and is really good in that movie. It's tough. I think I'll go with Safety Not Guaranteed and make Art do the tough final call.
It's good. Safety Not Guaranteed as a whole movie as her as a lead would probably be in my top, probably 5, 4. I'm gonna have to go with the one and only
Thank you.
Scott
Let's
Pilgrim
fucking
versus
go.
the
I
World.
thought this was gonna get bopped out in the first
Nope.
round. Let's fucking go.
Nope. I understand what you're saying. It's a whole feature film. That should tell you what she's doing here
The power.
in mere lines is it's culture, Zach. I don't know what else to tell you. Yeah.
It is.
Like, I think what she does in here is comparative to the entire run of Parks and Rec. I think what she's able to bring here for a bunch of
agree.
people. You get what I'm saying? It's like, you don't even have to see Parks and Rec, and like, you'll get her whole character just off of seeing this right here. This was in theaters. This is in the zeitgeist just as much as I would say the show is. Shout out to Safety Not Guaranteed. It's not a bad movie. Check it out.
I like it. Yeah.
Damn, bro, you're right. You're pulling this up
Scott Pilgrim.
a dozen more
baby.
times before
Let's
that.
go.
All right, Scott Pilgrim versus the World makes its way into the final 4.
Feeling good today.
Let's go to the next matchup of a couple kind of underwhelming comedies, Life After Beth versus Dirty Grandpa. Art, I feel like you were leaning Life After Beth's way in our first round.
Yeah, I don't even care, but Life After Beth, go ahead. It's going to be dead anyway.
Amanda, would you also go with Life After Beth over Dirty Grandpa?
I'm trying to think because I do actually think
Yeah.
we're kind of considering cultural zeitgeist. Dirty Grandpa, like I feel like people have no fucking idea what
Good
Life
point.
After Beth is.
That's fair.
I prefer it as a movie. I think I definitely prefer Life After Beth, but y'all made some good points about her. Damn, I have no idea. How about I just go Dirty Grandpa and make Zach split the
That's a
difference?
good choice. That's what I like to do during these brackets too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, cultural zeitgeist is a very, very strong point, and if we're going with Scott Pilgrim, a very small role in an earlier matchup, I don't see why we can go with a supporting role in Dirty Grandpa over Life After Beth. So let's put Dirty Grandpa into the final four.
I was happy with either. Yeah.
All right. I mean, I don't see either making it that much farther. But
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
the point.
Who knows?
That's the point.
Yeah.
It was a throwaway round. Like we lost Happiest season for this shit.
You know what I mean? Like that looked like a really
That's
nice part of the bracket where Happiest season could have thrived. But no, Zach likes chaos. Zach's pulling his own Aubrey Plaza spin
And
on us.
homophobia.
Just what the bracket does. I have no control over it.
Oh, chronological
matchup-
release. Sorry, continue. My bad.
Is Ingrid Goes West versus Child's Play. We're all pretty big Ingrid Goes West fans here, but
Yes, we are.
anybody want to throw a little more Love Child's Play away before
No.
we say goodbye to
It's
it?
decent.
No.
If you haven't caught it, I'd say check it out. It's an interesting spin on Chucky, and I'm glad that she got to be a part of it. But Ingrid Goes West. That's a movie right there.
Okay, so Ingrid Goes West advances over Child's Play, and our last matchup of the round of 8 is Black Bear versus Emily the Criminal, two of Aubrey's most dramatic roles to date. Art, I'm going to go to you first. Which one is the better Aubrey Plaza movie?
Black Bear. The thing is, though, we're doing this because of Emily the Criminal, so definitely go check out Emily the Criminal. But once you're done watching that,
Right.
do yourself a favor. Watch for the first time or rewatch again Black Bear.
Yeah, Amanda, what do you like about her performance in Emily the Criminal?
Like pretty much everything. Like again, it's one of those ones that still brings in some of the personality you expect from her, but then it's also just this other level. You kind of get to see her navigate this world that she's never been a part of, and not just navigate it, but actually end up in a position where she's just like kind of manipulating it to her advantage in the same way that she so often turns situations to her advantage just by like the sheer nature of her personality. So it was kind of really interesting to see a character do that. And then kind of like end up in a huge mess and then have to kind of like slowly work your way out. And then I personally really enjoyed the ending. So it's definitely one I'm very excited to revisit, and I hope a lot of people end up checking it out. But yeah, as Art said, I think I am also going to have to go with Black Bear just because of the sheer dynamics of her performance, the different levels she goes to, the extremes she goes to. I just think it's a better display of like what you think of when you think Aubrey Plaza to those absolute heightened levels. But again, Emily the Criminal deserves to continue going on, but sadly it won't be unless Zach has a desperate plea here.
I won't try and convince y'all because I love Black Bear as well, but Emily the Criminal is really, really excellent, and I think it's cool because you really get to see her in a different set of circumstances. I don't know if there's ever been a film before this one that she was in where there's kind of like life and death circumstances, and
True.
she's quite as desperate or against the ropes as you get to see her here. And I just think the way that she kind of feels very crafty and very tough, hard, there's like a hardness to her performance, and plus she's also doing a Jersey accent, which is kind of cool to see her try out a different voice even. I just think it's awesome to see another side of her, and not one that I was expecting going into that movie. But yeah, Black Bear's real good. So let's put Black Bear into the final four. And before we talk about those films, let's take a second to thank the Intercutie patrons, those wonderful people who are supporting the show. They are Ewan, Julietta, Garrett, Tim, Elizabeth, Josh, Ashley, Marion, Michael, D.A., Matt, and Di, as well as our Academy members, Tushar, Cademan, Connor, Pete, Sean, May, and Ricky. And of course, a big thanks to the producer level patrons, Awkward and you, Denver. Thanks again for all the support, and a reminder that you too can become a member of the Intercutie team at patreon.com/intercutpod, where you can sign up for patron benefits like early access to our episode outlines, access to the private channels on the Intercut Discord, and an invitation to our monthly patron Google meetings. Amanda, you get the privilege of talking to us for free, but if you didn't, I think you'd pay $1 a month to talk to us.
I think I would, actually. You guys are real cool.
Oh, that's really nice of you. I'll send you $1 for that later. Anyway, sign up on patreon.com/intercutpod to receive the patron benefits. All right, let's talk about the 4 best Aubrey Plaza movies. End of statement.
Time.
They are Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Dirty Grandpa, Ingrid Goes West, and Black Bear. Not exactly what I imagined would happen when we started, but I'm here for it. I'm loving it. Amanda, why are you going to vote for Dirty Grandpa over Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
I don't know. There's just like something about like her just fawning over his old man body that speaks to me. No.
I mean, how could you not for De Niro?
It's just like, my God, she's just saying what every woman wants to say. But no, it's Scott Pilgrim. It's Scott Pilgrim, baby.
Yeah. I don't think any of us would argue that point. So Scott Pilgrim, a Cinderella run all the way to the finals of the Aubrey Plaza bracket.
I'm shocked.
Going up against 2 of the really heavy hitter performances in her career. Ingrid Goes West versus Black Bear. It's a very, very tough call. Wow. So I'm going to go to Art to try and make it.
Black Bear.
No hesitation.
Come on. And Ingrid is good. Black Bear is great.
Mm-hmm. Black Bear is very, very good.
It is.
I personally feel like I would go with Ingrid Goes West here. I think there's just a depth to that performance in a way that is really, that just intrigues me and surprised me and makes me want to revisit it. You know, there is a comment that I think Roger Ebert made in his review of Punch Drunk Love, where he said that performance was so good that it retroactively goes back and makes all the other Adam Sandler performances better. I almost feel that way about this Ingrid Goes West performance, because you get that kind of like hard-edged, snarky character, and then you see a depth to it that you've never seen before. Maybe I'm overinflating it, but I really, really love her performance in Ingrid Goes West.
Amanda, check this out. If Ingrid Goes West was the performance that peaked that style that she had and epitomized it, Black Bear broke the rules and shattered the ceiling. That's what that is.
And I agree with you. I agree with you. But I've got a couple things I want to take into account here. Ingrid Goes West kind of hits on a few different levels, because I think it is, one, incredibly relevant in so many different ways.
True.
I think it really plays into online culture, influencer culture, and just the fact that it's not only capitalizing on the way that her character usually plays out, but not playing it in a way that it's like, oh, she's cool and fun and quirky and has friends. It ends up in a way that it's like, oh, she's weird, awkward, and has no friends and is making this all up, which is a very interesting dynamic. I feel like if I'm just going performance, I go Black Bear, but if I'm just going the entire package, I go Ingrid. And this is actually probably one of the hardest decisions I got to make, and I almost just want to go with the fact that, like, not that relevance matters, but I do think that Ingrid Goes West is more relevant. I think more people have seen it, which is not Black Bear's fault. Black Bear will get its love, I'm sure. But it's I can acknowledge that Black Bear is also not a movie for everyone. Some people are going to watch and be like, what the fuck was that? I don't understand what I just saw. Because they're looking for, you know, some kind of more cohesion there. But I think if it's the whole package, if it's the movie, the performance, and just everything, I'm gonna go Ingrid.
That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear.
But yeah, it's neck and neck. It's so fucking neck and neck because they're both peak performance like examples of her work.
Yeah. And in Black Bear, you get it twice. You get a double the Aubrey Plaza performance.
You do get double. And Christopher Abbott. It's fine.
Yeah. Not to argue against myself, because I'm happy if you're going to go with Ingrid Goes West. I'm good with Ingrid. I'm good. Yeah. All right. So we have our finals. It is Scott Pilgrim versus the world against Ingrid Goes West. We've heard plenty of arguments either way. Art, are you going with the supporting role or the starring role?
What would you do if I said Scott Pilgrim versus the world?
I mean, I'd mark it down, but I would be a bit surprised.
I can't. Part of me really wants to, and like on another day when I'm acting very Aubrey Plaza, I'm feeling her spirit, I probably would. But look, I don't disagree that Ingrid is it's top tier. I think it really cemented her in not just being a meme to a lot of people, but personifying that meme and showing that there could be substance to it, that it's not just all a joke, that you can have this sarcasm and actually have a lot of depth to it. And I know a lot of people, surprisingly, who, Amanda was right, you may not know Black Bear. That may not be something that a mainstream audience can take. But there's something about Ingrid Goes West where I feel a lot of young people who I wouldn't expect them to know a Sundance movie know it. Be it because, you have Wanda in it as well. You have Ice Cube Jr. in it as well. You have a really stacked cast. But I think it is that relevancy that you guys were talking about where it's hit a sort of zeitgeist with people where they're like, yo, this movie's like, it's talking about some stuff that we're not just going through, but we'll continue to go through. I will say Ingrid Goes West.
Amanda.
Do it, Amanda.
I know you love Scott Pilgrim.
No, it went this far. I feel like I have to. I know it's not going to win. I'm going Scott Pilgrim, baby. I'm doing it. It's like,
tell me why.
Is it her? Again, it's a lot of the reasons you said. It's like with so little, she did so much and like just cemented herself as that kind of character, but not in a way that you're like, oh shit, she's doing this again. It's like it's a character that everybody loved, and it's like peak performance of that. The movie itself, in my opinion, is incredible. It has had so many different wins as it kind of comes in and out, and then you get the people who first relate to Scott and then realize that Scott's an asshole, and the whole point's him supposed to be not being an asshole anymore. I don't know. I know it's not going to win. I'm throwing the wrench in. Like if I'm being honest with myself, like I know that it should go to Ingrid, but for the Canadians.
What your heart tells you. Well, you've convinced me. Scott Pilgrim versus the world is our
winner. It's at least her best like side performance or like supporting performance. It's her best supporting role, hands down, easy.
Yeah, if we separate the brackets into films she's the star of and films where she's just a part of them, I'd be happy to give that one to Scott Pilgrim. But yeah, I mean, beyond just being an unbelievable Aubrey Plaza performance, I think that Ingrid Goes West might be just the best movie on this list, not just an Aubrey Plaza movie. And like you guys have been saying, that relevancy, the commentary on social media and, Instagram culture and fan culture, and it feels weirdly singular. It doesn't feel like there have been a whole swarm of movies following this one's footsteps that have also commented on that. And, being that it came out already, 5 years ago, it still stands apart as being one of the few movies to really get this stuff right. And she's just so dynamic, and it sells a lot of difficult material, a lot of material that might be hard to believe, but is completely believable coming from her.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There are people like that out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've encountered some of them online, thankfully not in person.
Yeah.
Like, it's just... It's one of those things. It's incredibly relevant. It's an incredible movie. I think that everybody should watch it at least once. And like I said, so many things have tried touching on influencer culture or just different ideas of online relevance. And they either go like the absurdist route, like something like Spree, so it can get away with it, or it just kind of falls flat in how it's executing itself because it can't really figure out its moral standpoint with a lot of the situations they're dealing with. And I think that affects how they progress the story. Whereas like Ingrid, I think it had everything just locked in and nailed.
All right, I'm happy we got Ingrid Goes West into the finals. Art, I feel like you were hoping that it would be Black Bear taking it all.
Yeah, but no, Ingrid is easily, I think, like I said, you put it, it's the epitome of everything that came before her and kind of showcases that every time she was being sarcastic, it's like there was more depth to it. And I would, it's in my top 3 of hers for sure. I think I would probably go feature films. Black Bear, Ingrid Goes West, and I think I would put Emily the Criminal over Safety Not Guaranteed. I'm not gonna lie.
I think I would too, actually.
You know what?
I think I would too.
Yeah, I think I got the exact same top 3 as you. Those are really like the standouts where she's the star for sure.
Yeah, because I think I
Amanda.
prefer. Oh, sorry. What were you gonna say?
No, go ahead with whatever you were gonna say.
Oh, I was just gonna say. I think depending on what day you talk to me, I would prefer Black Bear as a movie. But I do just. It's one of these things. I think Ingrid deserves to be in this spot. I do think it deserves.
Yeah,
it, so.
yeah. It's more defining of her career. Oh, where would you put Happiest Season?
Yeah, and I was gonna say, what if we had Happiest Season up against Scott Pilgrim?
She didn't even think about that. She didn't even think that was a possibility.
I didn't.
She's gonna end the Skype call.
I might. Man, I don't know. She dominated Happiest Season. So in supporting role and how much they affected the outcome of the movie, it's got to be Happiest Season. And you got Kristen Stewart in there. Like, I'm sorry. Movies are trying to emotionally manipulate you to be in love with like the main central like love match and want them to succeed, and for this to literally be like, fuck that girl, this one's right here. That's incredible. That's power. That's Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, that is the essence of Aubrey Plaza. All right, well, I'm glad where we ended up. I'm glad that we got to talk about all these awesome Aubrey Plaza movies that we love. But I think that just about wraps up this installment of Intercut. You can catch more from me, Zach Shevich, by following me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, all of those at ZShevich. That's ZSHEV as in verse the world ICH. And check out my YouTube or TikTok channels at Multiplex Show. Amanda, where can people find more from you?
You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and a lot of other places at Amanda the Jedi.
Art, where can people find more from you?
You can find me over at LME Explain on Twitter, on Letterboxd, on YouTube, or every week here on the Intercut Podcast.
Amanda, thanks so much for joining us for one of these. How was your first bracket experience?
This was good. I honestly thought I was going to have to put up more of a fight for Scott Pilgrim. I knew you were going to be a huge Funny People fan. I just sensed that you, Zach, were going to be a huge Funny People fan.
I like
you
me
were
some
Funny
Judd
People
Apatow. What can
exactly.
I say?
I'm like, you a Funny
People
People guy.
I'm an Adam Sandler fan. It was literally my Twitter name for a little bit. Adam Sandler fan.
Yeah, I know. Your favorite movie is Punch Drunk Love, or it's like one of them. So I was like, I knew
Yes.
I was batting uphill there. But then like Art comes in with the save, and I was like, shit.
I own 3 of these.
I was like, I have to ride it to the end.
I have the DVD, the Blu-ray, and I just bought the 4K.
Blu-ray.
So it's what, like, I don't even,
Yep, same.
It's like sometimes you don't even realize how much you like something until you just find 3 copies that you own.
Yeah, exactly. That's
No,
exactly
Scott Pilgrim
what
is. I think you like love it way more than I do. But like I have it up there as one of my favorites. It's my favorite. What's his name? Edgar Wright movies, and I really do think she stands out there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, trust me, guys. I know when I voted for Scott Pilgrim in the last round, like I know I'm not right. I just knew it wasn't going to win, so I felt like my vote didn't count. So I was allowed.
Yeah,
I was allowed.
Exactly. You get that freedom with the bracket sometimes. Anyway, you can listen to every episode of the Intercut podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcatcher is. I like Overcast, and then make sure you're subscribed not just to the audio version, but to the video version as well on youtube.com/intercutpod, where you can get your bright smiling faces as we do the latest in entertainment. Find new episodes of The Weekend Must Watch every Monday streaming on our channel. And please leave us a comment, like the video. Consider heading over to iTunes to give us that much requested 5-star review. And shout out to our listeners in Brunei and Belgium for putting us on the TV and film podcast charts out there. Like our Facebook, follow our Instagram, follow our Twitter pages, support our Patreon. You can find all of them at Intercut Pod to get updates throughout the week from me, from Art, from Amanda, from all the guests we feature here on Intercut. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, there's no sense in nonsense.